welcome back to Watercolor Wednesdays with the Whittier Public Library. I'm Kelly, I'm the Young Adult Librarian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to paint a watercolor landscape scene from this book, How to Paint Watercolor Landscapes. So the scene that we'll be painting today will be this tranquil waters landscape. So let's go ahead and get this started. All right.
Start the composition by drawing the horizon line a little bit more than halfway down the paper. Then go ahead and draw your mountains and do just a rough sketch of those mountains. Draw them lightly so that they're easily erasable after the painting. Draw the reflection of the mountains in the water, and don't forget to draw the boat, and be careful because you're going to draw the highlights of the boat so that they're easy to paint when you're going in with the watercolor. Don't forget that shadow of the boat on the reflection of the water and the sky. For the sky, you're going to go ahead and mix some brown with blue, more blue than the brown, and then water it down with your brush and lightly brush it over your sky area, picking up some of the pigment with your napkin. And then you're going to go ahead and start on the water of the sky area reflection at the bottom. You're going to pick up some of that and leave some blank spots so that you can add some of that yellow. You're going to water down the yellow. It might look a little murky if it mixes with the blue. Then you're going to wet all of the mountain area. This is the wet on wet technique that we'll be using for the mountains. Make sure you let your sky dry, of course. Once you start adding in that pigment of the blue that's mixed with some brown to make it sort of a gray blue, you can water it down. Start off light because we'll be building up to dark. Leave some blank spots on the water and don't paint the boat just yet. Once you start getting that in there, you're going to let it dry, and then you'll add in some more color afterward. Pick up that highlight right at the edge of the mountains with the napkin as well. We're going in darker on the mountains on the reflection of the water as well as the top. Lightly paint over the highlights of the water with a lighter blue. Just water it down. Mix some more of that brown with that blue if you're running out. This gives it a gray, sort of washed out look. We're going to use that color and darken the mountains now. Each time you're darkening the mountains, you're letting it dry in between. If it gets anywhere where you don't want it to be, just pick it up with your napkin. Don't forget, every time you're going in the mountains up on the top part of the page, you're going to be going into the reflection to mimic that. When going near the boat, just be very careful not to get any onto the white areas of the boat. We'll be doing the boat in just a second. Now we're doing the boat with a darker blue, more blue than the gray blue. We're going to leave some areas white, so just be very careful. I left the area on the left white, and I'm going to be leaving the top edges of the sides of the boat white. Don't forget the shadow of the boat underneath. Pick up any that drip into the water that might not be dry yet. Come back in and get the inside of the boat a little bit darker. Add some more blue. Once the water area has dried, we're going to go back into the mountain reflection right here, and we're going to darken it again. Picking up any that drips into the mountain. We're going to go into the top areas of the mountains, and we're going to wet those and make them darker. Same thing with the mountains underneath. Just be careful that it doesn't drip into the wet areas of the mountain above. If it does, pick it up with a napkin. try to define those mountains just a little bit. Load your brush with some blue, wash it out just a little bit, and get back into that boat once everything's dry. You're going to be darkening some areas and pushing the pigment into other areas. So we want the inside of the boat to get dark in the corner, and we want to brush this pigment over to the front of the boat. Pick up some on the right with your napkin. Go back into the sky of the reflection of the water, leaving some areas white for highlights to show that these are the clouds in the sky. We're going to darken the mountain range a little bit more at the top. Load up some of that yellow with water. Brush it right into those sky cloud areas. Pick it up with some of the napkin if it gets too dark, or muddy with the blue if it's still wet. Let's go ahead and paint this boat a little bit darker. Brushing the pigments into the corners, and let's make this shadow darker as well and draw that anchor line. Okay, we're picking up some of that pigment with our napkin, and now we're going to let this dry a little bit, and we're going to come in and paint some blue watered down around our boat and a little bit over the mountain's reflection. We're going to make some of that blue a little bit darker with the brown, making it a little bit more of a muddy gray blue by mixing brown into the blue with that, and then brushing that over our mountain reflection in the water and kind of defining that line near the horizon line, leaving that highlight, and then brushing in to the mountains above the water, darkening them up, creating that darker brown blue, really defining those edges and the horizon line. Getting some of that blue and washing it out with some water and brushing it over the reflection of the mountains and around the boat and around the highlights. Be careful next to those highlights, brushing some of that lighter washed out blue into that pale yellow area, and then washing out your brush and picking up blue to do some of those darker lines on the boat. So these are our finishing touches. We're just going to go ahead and put in those shadows. Pick up some of that side and wet it a little bit and pick it up with our napkin, brushing in a little bit more of that water blue to kind of darken that, pushing the pigment over, and there you have it.
Now that we've finished that Tranquil Waters landscape painting, if you want to check this book out, you can check it out through Curbside. And again, it's How to Paint Watercolor Landscapes. And it's available through Curbside pickup at our Depot location or our Whitwood Branch Library location. Just give us a call. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you again next month. Bye.